Welcome.
You are watching Line Screw 1. Well, hello tubers, hope you're doing well wherever you are in this crazy YouTube universe. Today I'm going to save you money, and possibly a whole lot of money, because, you know, spring is coming, summer's coming, and millions of North Americans are headed to Europe for their vacay in the coming months. And you know what? I almost didn't take my own advice, but I did. I caught myself at the last minute. I recently flew from Gibraltar up to London Heathrow to visit a fellow YouTuber. Are we crazy? In London. And I rented a car. And some of the tips I'm about to offer you here are going to save some of you, if you're paying attention, a lot of money. And we're going to get into that. And I'm going to give you 5 tips and a couple bonus tips on how to save money when you rent a car in Europe. And it's not just about renting the car. There's a lot of, secondary issues that you got to pay attention to save that money. Because, the money comes in slow and it goes out fast, especially in Europe. Europe's not cheap, so save your money. Spend that on somebody you love. Other YouTubers want to make money off you. I just want to save you money. So I've rented a lot of cars around the world, and these tips always work. So let's get into that, and let's talk about how you can save some cashola. Now keep in mind that all rental agencies are not created equal, and the lowest published rate is not always the best company to rent from. If you take a few minutes to check on the online reviews of some of these rental companies, you can quickly see that saving $2 a day with some of these agencies will open you up to a potential of having to fight over mysterious charges for things like previous damages that were done by a previous renter. Be aware of that. The hassle of fighting with these types of rental car companies that'll nickel and dime you over mysterious charges on your credit card are not worth doing business with and should be avoided. Always go to a quick review and look them up online and see what the company's reputation is before you book. This tip leads me to the second tip, number 2. Now, tip number 2, I nearly forgot to do this, but caught myself at the last minute and actually photographed my rental car, which was a Vauxhall Corsa. Yeah, this is the actual car that I rented. Yeah, I figured I'd rent something local because Vauxhall hasn't sold anything in North America for a long time. I figured, hey, let's try this out. It was cheap. So always photograph your rental car before you leave the parking lot. You should ideally photograph all sides of the car and make special note of previously existing damage. I nearly forgot to take my own advice, but at the last minute I remembered, and I snapped some of these pics of this Vauxhall Corsa from my rental at London Heathrow Airport. This tip saved me at least $1,000, as if you look closely at the photo, there was a huge plastic trim piece on the rear hatchback that was missing. I didn't notice that when I first picked up the car, but they immediately noticed it when I was returning the car. And there was some rim damage on some of the wheels. Upon returning the car, they quickly pointed this out to me, and I said, well, I do have photographs of the actual pre-existing damage, and I emailed them to the representative. Without a photo, they were going to bill my credit card for the damages. All it took was for me to email those photos to the representative there, and they released my credit card of my security deposit on the spot. So, you've been warned. Tip number 3. When you rent a car in Europe and you're tempted to waive all the insurance, be 100% certain that your credit card or your home insurance will cover you. Many rental car insurance companies will not cover you outside of North America. So double check your policy by contacting your insurance agency. Do not assume you are covered. You know how the saying goes. Assumption. If you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. And guess who's going to pay for it? You. The same goes for your credit card rental insurance. Never just assume. Know exactly where you stand with coverage. It's very easy to have an accident in Europe, and you may be on the hook via your credit card in the case of an accident that was even not your fault. Remember, it's a different place. When in Rome, you're going to do as a Roman. The laws are different, and they're going to hold you to account quite often. Even if it wasn't your fault, they're going to wait for things to be straightened out, and it's probably going to cost you. If you're not sure, just suck it up and buy the insurance from the rental company. I know it's expensive, but it will still be cheaper than paying for a hefty repair bill in the event of an accident. Tip number 4, avoid the missing spare tire in the trunk scam when you rent your car. This scam is common in places like Cuba, but you will occasionally encounter it all over the darn world. Before you leave with your car, make sure that the spare tire is actually in the trunk or the boot, as they say in the UK. Typically, the shady car rental companies will remove it, then attempt to make you pay for the missing spare tire, and I say missing in air quotes. It's just a cash grab scam, and a quick check and a photograph of the actual spare tire being there before you leave will save you from this hassle, and at least give you a pretty good arguing point that you were scammed. Tip number 5. The last tip can save you a few $100s easily, and it actually saved me a couple $100 on the last trip up to London. It's actually not a tip about renting the car, but a tip on how to operate the car to avoid extra charges appearing on your credit card. In the United Kingdom, there are approximately 7,000 photo radar cameras lurking everywhere, and they're looking for you just outside of that airport. So keep that in mind, because in the USA, there's about 5,000 traffic cameras, but the UK is very tiny compared to the USA, and your odds of driving past one of those traffic cameras is nearly 100%. The way to avoid getting a traffic ticket is to download the Waze navigation app to your smartphone and bring along a suction cup mount to place on your rental car windshield. It does a remarkable job of navigating in the United Kingdom and will warn you when you're about to encounter a photo traffic camera. It typically gives you a heads up 600 to 800 meters before you hit one. Gives you enough time to slow down and avoid that cash trap. On this trip, Waze saved me twice from receiving 2 tickets. Keep in mind that your rental contract gives the company the right to charge your credit card for all traffic violations that you may receive. Avoid this possibility by using the Waze app. You should check with your cell phone company before you leave North America and ensure that you have an affordable international data roaming plan. Otherwise, you may encounter some extraordinary cell phone data charges when you return home. So keep that in mind, because you need your data to actually run these applications. Please be aware that apps such as Waze that notify traffic camera locations are illegal in places such as France and Germany. If you decide to use them there, I'd recommend you turn off your phone if you're pulled over. But the good news is speed traps are almost all automated in Europe, and I've even sped past French police on the freeways, only to have them honk and shake their fists at me and actually not bother to pull me over. Okay, that's the 5 tips, but I'm going to throw in a couple bonus ones to save you a few more bucks and hassles. If you're only renting and operating a car in the United Kingdom, don't bother paying for one of those international driver's licenses that you can get from AAA. Save your money, it's not needed. And my second bonus is learn how to drive a standard transmission car. The cheapest cars are always with manual transmission vehicles. Everyone and their granny knows how to drive a stick in Europe. If you don't know how, learn and practice before you leave, and you will save lots of money on your daily rental charges. These tips will save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on your next rental car in the UK or Europe. It just saved me a ton of money. So that's my tips, and remember to drive 100% sober, and drinking and driving thresholds are much lower in Europe. Just because they sell you wine at the French highway rest areas doesn't mean you should drink the whole bottle. Save it for when you arrive at your destination. So post your comments and your questions, and as I always say, keep your wheels in the ground.
Can go to figure out what we've done, what we need to do. Yeah, I got you, I got you, I got you.